Hello once again to each of you. Welcome to the Zander channel once again. Here I help people get out of their heads and establish and maintain coherence to our hearts. Even if you're a masculine man. Everything vibrates. Everything has a frequency. The universe, you, the earth, your words, your feelings, such as hatred and love, your diseases, such as cancer, or even money has a vibration. You can change your vibration with thoughts and feelings. This is my path to happiness, joy, and love, and I invite you to subscribe and join me in this journey towards peace, joy, and happiness. And this video, since you clicked on it, is restoring wholeness by integrating the conscious and the subconscious mind. Conscious breathing meditation for beginners. This breathing exercise and meditation presented below is from the book Children of the Law of One and the Lost Teachings of Atlantis. This book describes with scientific precision the problems humanity faces on Earth and beyond. But unlike most works of this type, the concepts are incredibly simple to understand and actually use simply very easy to actually use in one's life. A child could easily read and comprehend what is offered without fearful presentation of the facts. The breathing exercise offered below can be used to integrate the conscious and subconscious mind, which is the key to developing self-mastery, inner peace, increased powers of creation, balance, and harmony. Restoring unity of mind and heart imparts the ability to actually know the truth by way of experience or direct perception. This has been called self-mastery, enlightenment, and sovereignty, and is the ultimate product of an integrated mind. Contemporary descriptions of ascension also refer to this notion of mind-body-spirit integration. Humanity, as individuals and as a collective, suffers greatly due to this specific separation and division. Each person on Earth at this time is a house divided against itself. And by extension, division of the human family occurs at all levels of society, resulting in slavery, oppression, intolerance, and scarcity. Therefore, restoring wholeness within individuals is critical to healing the collective consciousness of humanity at large and all of the resulting problems that separation of consciousness brings about. In short, all of our individual and social problems, whether on Earth or beyond, is from one primary cause: selfishness, brought about by separation consciousness. This problem plagues other races and worlds as well, and once one recognizes these factors involved, they can easily see when someone, including so-called advanced races, are acting with a consciousness of separation or selfishness. Now, this notion is already generally known as the service to self modality of being, but the aforementioned book goes into much greater detail about the foundational cause of selfishness, which is the base of evil and injustice. When consciousness indwells a physical body like we do here on Earth through incarnation, it loses touch with the divine nature. We literally forget that we are connected to everything at a fundamental level. The resulting consequence of this focuses our consciousness into the material realm, and we begin to identify with the body and what it feels above and beyond the realities of oneness from whence we came. We lose the perception of universal consciousness or awareness and fall into separation consciousness, or the perception that we are not one with the universe, that there is something better, bigger than us, and we are separate from it, and we are not worthy. Now, over long enough courses of time, social programs and genetic alterations from vaccines, and also genetic alterations resulting from behaviors via epigenetic augmentation creates a race of beings that feels more separation than oneness. But the truth is, the experience of separation is ultimately just an illusion. We need only look at how the morphogenetic field operates to know that even our very thoughts and minds, which most people assume are totally separate from everyone else's, are actually deeply connected to each other. When an individual begins to identify with the illusory perception of separation more than the truth of interconnectedness, the separate selfish self is born. Well, what we'll call the negative or limited ego. And everyone on earth, for the most part, grows up or is raised in conditions which creates this false version of themselves. You put on a face when you go outside. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about? Guys, you want to put out this persona or you want to do this thing into the public, but when you're at home, you're a completely different person. The negative ego is a pale reflection or distortion of who we really are. They're called the higher self in awakening circles, and we can also describe as a part of us that identifies with the truth of interconnectedness. In other words, hidden away within each of us is a universal self, which has become the prisoner of the selfish, separate self that seeks to suppress the truth in favor of focusing on the illusion of separation. We learn separation consciousness from our parents and society and then feed that fire via our choices and our actions. By the time we've reached the age when the conscious mind becomes active, which is after 6 years old, the momentum of separation identification is almost unstoppable, nurtured by the trappings of society. Be different. One up the Joneses. Make sure you get that iPhone, the next one. Be first in line for the movies, and apparently there's a line for getting cell phones now. So there you go. Now, we are trained to become our own prison wardens, keeping the light of the universal self locked away in favor of material distractions. A feeling of emptiness and disempowerment develops, which leads to parasitic behavior or selfishness. The selfish separate self becomes dominant and eventually eclipses any other way of being so long as we focus on that fuel in the separation. As long as we're believing and fueling that separation by saying, I am not you, you are not me. This is the part of us that is greedy, self-servicing, fearful, ignorant, harmful, violent, prideful, wrathful, envious, and so on. All of the qualities we normally attribute to a narcissistic and psychopathic people are extreme examples of a mature, separate, selfish self, but to be sure, even if we are nice and well-intentioned, we're still probably held back by separation consciousness. What is in it for me? It is also this part of us that feels inadequate, disempowered, bored, unmotivated, hurt, traumatized, and victimized by life. Now, in many cases, people are born, live life, and die, never tasting from the cup of universal consciousness. This is primarily because, like the Matrix, separation consciousness is a prison for our mind. That is to say that through our beliefs we develop by way of experience, we create and build up an identity of separation. And only through consciously deconstructing this false identity can universal consciousness be attained. So the solution to this problem, which is both personal and social, is to stop feeding the separate selfish self and start feeding the universal self. Universal consciousness is a perspective in which we will consider that all of the backdrop to everything that we do. One who has attained universal consciousness chooses to be harmless, kind, and humble because they recognize the truth that all other beings are an extension of themselves. Universal consciousness is not based on blind faith, but an actual knowing of interconnectedness developed by acting on truth. When we choose to act within harmless or act with harmless harmlessness, kindness, and loving service to all, radiating our light at all beings, regardless of what they have done to earn it. We transcend the consciousness of separation and gain wisdom in universal consciousness. In other words, healing one's soul and transcending separation is an active, not passive process, which invokes seeking the truth about oneself and the foundation for personal transformations. If we act with duplicity in our motives and motivations towards others, we will justify kindness for some, but not kindness for all. She's pretty. I'm going to be real nice to her. The idea of our moral relativism, where we are only do what is right for our friends and family, and everyone else be damned. Yet in the act of loving our enemies for ourselves, we heal separation consciousness. In this way, proactively developing the capacity to love others equally while quickly highlighting hidden beliefs about separation so they can be transcended with an act of unselfish love. Unconditional love, the love that a mother has for her child. But to be clear, loving others unselfishly does not mean doing nothing when harm is being pushed onto others. Taking defensive action to stop harm is part of a modality of universal consciousness and provides a venue of opportunity to actually live out the service to others modality of being. Simply put, the cabal manipulate us through separation consciousness, the separate selfish self or the negative ego. And since most people have never known anything but separation consciousness, transcending it completely requires constant dedication and effort in all times and places in one's life. This problem of separation consciousness has touched life on Earth arguably since the beginning of human existence, and as such, everything that we do, think, and behave needs to be evaluated against the backdrop of all that is. The parable of the two wolves perfectly expresses the mechanic in that in each moment we are either feeding the selfish, separate self or we're feeding the universal self. And eventually, one must let the separate self pass away. So the universal self can be fully manifested within the evolving personality. In other words, the separate, selfish self keeps our true universal potential imprisoned, which must be released from the shackles of separation. Once this takes place, the individual has become enlightened, sovereign, or self-mastered. They're immune to mind control because of their higher vibration, manipulation, and the temptations of the material world. Even the most highly evolved among us are still grappling with consciousness of separation, for one cannot be in both worlds at once. Now, this does not mean that we need to kill the ego in the spiritual community as other people have been saying. You don't kill, you don't destroy, you embrace, you love. It was there for your protection up until this point. Now that you no longer need that shield, you can walk in love, unconditional love, for that person who has been punching you, for that person who has been belittling you, because only hurt people hurt people. Do you believe truly that one or many or a group of people ultimately, at their core level, is utter evil? Or is it that they've been hurt and they have decided that hurting other people gives them some sort of satisfaction? We only have to look at the prison system to see that. In America, When you go to jail, you get out, can't get a job, even though you paid your debt to society, right? That's why they were imprisoned. Now they cannot get a job because they've been in prison. They made a mistake. They've paid for their crimes, so to say, but nobody wants them because they have committed a crime. Even though they paid their dues for it, according to society and according to the law, they've paid for their crime, but nobody will hire them. How are they supposed to survive? Now, gaining the ability to heal one's own mind by becoming conscious of that which is unconsciousness is an invaluable skill. It's the skill that leads to the development of all others. The vast majority of a person's thoughts, desires, beliefs, and behaviors were programmed into subconsciousness during their during their formative years between the ages of 0 to 6. Only by using the light of one's awareness can these programs be purged and transformed. It is the task of each individual to seek out their own programming so as to become the programmer instead of the programmed. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. When humanity is made whole again, the world will realize an age of light and life, harmony and abundance that the current generation would easily mistake for heaven on earth. But so long as separation consciousness, scarcity, and the belief in it lives with each individual, believes it lives within each individual, paradise on earth will be the stuff of dreams and legend. Why cannot we make this a place on earth? So, we will be getting to the exercise listed in the book that I described earlier. It's arguably one of the most important documents for the transition humanity is currently moving through. The original author of the book, John Pennell, Peniel, is no longer incarnate, but the foundation which supports his work can be found in www.atlantis.to. There's a wealth of information on that website. By Nazaretha via the CLO. Conscious Breathing and Meditation for Beginner. Let me check the time on this. 17 minutes, 50 seconds. Throughout all the ages, the ancients and the mystics have given techniques and aids for beginning to recognize himself and understanding his nature via direct experience and conscious and unconscious integration. Here's a simple and powerful meditation proven to be a timeless tool. Conscious breathing, conscious and subconscious mind integration, conscious breath. One way to acquire subconscious control and conscious integration is a way to really become aware of your breathing without controlling it, hence integration. If you allow your subconscious mind to control your breathing for you, but at the same time become conscious of the breathing without trying to control it consciously, you can achieve an integration of subconscious and conscious aspects. This gives you a key to all subconscious and conscious activities, and through the passive concentration necessary to bridge these aspects, the conscious mind becomes still, quiet, free from the constant internal noise and reaction to external stimuli which prevent and block the reflection of the universal consciousness. Remember, the mind does not subtract or divide. You cannot take away or reduce anything in your mind. The mind only adds and multiplies. You must add positive thoughts. Multiply your feelings of love and above. Continually multiply your energetic vibrations. You cannot unthink or unlearn. Those experiences you've had are there for you to learn from. You have somewhere around 75,000 thoughts per day. You need to master those thoughts and increase your foundational vibration to love and above, which is around 528 hertz. For you, this means you feel love for yourself, and in doing so, feel love for all things. So let us begin. Sit with your spine erect and begin to watch your body breathe. Just, just be aware of your breathing. That's all there is to it. At first, until your concentration develops, your mind will wander all over the place to many thoughts and other things. As soon as you realize that your mind has wandered, bring it back gently, watching your breath. Do not waste your energy in reprimanding yourself or your thoughts. Do not reprimand yourself for not maintaining concentration. That gives more energy to the ego. We're not here to fuel the ego. And that's what it wants, to keep you from getting control. Frustration is the ally of the separate self. Bringing yourself back to the object of concentration immediately upon recognizing that you've wandered off applies to all concentration and meditation techniques. Take 7 minutes, or maybe a few more, in the morning to do this, or when you're traveling, on your break, or even for just a few minutes, a few moments, bringing what's in the dark to light to transform your life. Those thoughts and those feelings that come up, please note them and let them understand that now is not the time. And do they truly, really matter anyway? Concentrate on your breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. Counting. 1. Breathe in. Counting. 2 on the exhale. Breathe in. Counting 3 on the exhale. And continue this until the mind wanders. And then upon understanding that it has wandered, begin again with 1, but also note your number. If you make it to 5, that is your number. Count 5 breaths. Slowly as you can, sitting up straight, eyes closed, relaxed, deeper relaxing. And again, breathe in, and 1. Breathe in, and 2. Breathe in and 3. Breathe in and 4. Those worries are not worries here. Those feelings of lower vibration are not here. This is your sanctuary. Relax and breathe and count. And relax. This is your internal sanctuary. The outside world is not here. Relaxing. Just focus on your breath. Just focus on your breath, counting. Doesn't that feel nice? Your thoughts will come and go. Inform the ego, now is not the time. This is your time. If the ego controls most of the day, it should be fair to allow a few minutes here and there. Relaxing. And slowly bring yourself awake and out and come on back, feeling refreshed, relaxed, and alert. Just a few minutes. Just a few minutes. Take a break and do a meditation. So, smash that like button, subscribe below if you found this interesting, learned something, or agreed with this video. Comment below to ask an educated question that you would like the answer to. If you love my sexy face, hey, hit that notification bell for my next posting herein. I love you. Come on back. So, that is the end. I hope this helped. And this, remember, is just the beginning meditations. I did cite the book as above. So, if you're more interested, you can look there. Otherwise, look for more postings from me. Good day. I love you.